I was working 24/7, no weekends, no rest, no breaks. I got up thinking, get it done, and went to sleep feeling guilty that I hadn't done enough. I chased productivity like my life depended on it. Spoiler, I almost died. Physically, mentally, emotionally. My body said stop, my brain burned out, and my soul just went silent. And you know what? I'm not the only one. We live in a culture where a person's worth is measured by their to-do list, not who they are. Here's a question I want you to answer in the comments. Do you ever feel guilty for just resting? Without being useful, without being productive? Just resting and feeling like a bad person? Write honestly. I want to read every opinion. Today I'm going to tell you why the cult of productivity is ruining your life, why you won't get rich while you're plowing like a robot, and how to get out of that trap. No motivational bullshit. Just the truth, just experience, just you and me. I'm not sharing this because I'm being smart. I'm sharing this because I've been there, and I got out, so you can do it. What is the cult of productivity? You wake up and you get an alarm. Because you have to. You need to do. You need to get things done. You need to be useful. You work, you feel stressed. You don't work, you feel guilty. You take a vacation, you still think about work. Sound familiar? That's the cult of productivity. You're not a person, you're a function. You don't live, you perform. We live in a society where you are respected not for who you are, but for how many tasks you have accomplished. You are praised not for your inner growth, but for reports, KPIs, and deadlines. Since childhood, we've been told, keep busy, do more, win, succeed. You haven't heard, you're good enough just because you are. But you have heard, what did you do today that was useful? And so, you're trapped. You just want to be quiet, but inside you're worried, I'm wasting time. You look out the window and you're ashamed. You sleep an extra hour and you hate yourself. But the truth is, productivity is not synonymous with meaning. And if you're tired right now, it doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. And you have the right not to run, not to do, not to be the best. Just to be. The cult of productivity makes machines out of people. But we're not machines. And if you feel like something's wrong, you're not crazy. You're waking up. And that's a good thing. Because awareness is the first step to freedom. Why do we even believe that? Why are you afraid to stop? Why do you feel like if you're not productive, you're nobody? Because it's been forced on you. Social media is littered with successful people who wake up at 5 a.m., meditate, run a marathon, run 7 businesses, all before breakfast. They smile in pictures, drink matcha lattes, and yell, success is a choice. And you look at it and think, I'm not trying hard enough. I'm falling behind. I'm a failure. But the truth is different. Most of these people are trapped themselves. They're afraid to stop because then they'll have to feel it. Tired, emptiness, fear. And while you're running, it's like you're safe. Add dopamine to that. Every checklist, every task completed is a flash of pleasure. The brain thinks, oh, good for you, you did it, get a reward. You become addicted. Like sugar, like coffee, like likes, but it's a short high, and then it's empty. And to feel normal again, you need to do more and more and more. You're in a dopamine loop, where rest is failure, where doing nothing is scarier than failing with a project. Because when you're not busy, you're facing yourself. And that's the scariest thing for most people. But here's the truth. You don't have to prove anything. You can be loved, meaningful, valuable, not because you've done 1,000 things, but because you are you. And you can get out of that loop, slowly, with awareness, with a simple question. Why am I living like this in the first place? What happens to the brain when you live 24/7? Imagine a cell phone that you only charge for 10 minutes a day. It seems to turn on, but it just keeps getting worse. It slows down, it gets warm, it freezes, and you're mad. What's wrong with it? And it's just tired. That's how your brain is when you live 24/7. When you're in a constant race, your cortisol is elevated 24/7. It's the stress hormone. And while in the short term, it can help you pull yourself together, in the long term, it burns you from the inside out. You sleep worse. You get angry at loved ones. You forget what you were just going to say. Your creativity, your logic, your concentration goes down. You sit on a task for an hour, and you can't get a single good thought out of yourself. And the harder you try, the worse it gets. That's burnout. Not just, I'm tired, it's, I can't. You don't want to get out of bed, even if you have time. You look at the screen and you feel empty, but you're not broken, you're just overheated. And like any mechanism, you can recover. The brain isn't made of stone, it's malleable. It can go back to normal. But to do that, you have to give it something you haven't given it in a long time. Silence, pause, rest. Not a messenger vacation, a real reboot. Your brain wants to live, not just work. And if you're on the edge right now, it's not the end. It's a signal, and you can respond to it. And you know what the hardest part is? You go through all of this, the stress, the insomnia, the burnout. Not because you're lazy, it's because you're trying. You really believe, if I work like an ox, no weekends, no complaining, I'll be rich. You know, like, who works 24/7 makes more money. But here's the truth that nobody tells you. You're not going to get rich while you're living like this. Wage labor 24/7 makes you comfortable. For the system, for the boss, for the business. But not for yourself. You're squeezing the last juices out of yourself to make it, but what do you actually get done? The shift? A meeting? A new stack of tasks? Meanwhile, the rich think differently. They don't live in an operating system. They build a system. They don't work harder, they work smarter. They know how to stop, detach, look at everything from above. And it's because of that that they make strong decisions. Remember what George Clason wrote in The Richest Man in Babylon? Gold loves intelligent owners, those who manage money rather than give their lives to it. And also, most really successful businesses were not born out of sweat, but out of moments of awareness. When a person stopped and thought, what if I tried it another way? That's how ideas, strategies, solutions emerge. Not in the hustle and bustle, but in the silence. In the book, 50 Business Models for the New Economy, it is explicitly stated, unicorns win not by hard work, but by flexibility. They know how to reboot, see more broadly, think deeper. So no, more tasks does not mean more money. More money is when you know how to manage yourself, to see beyond, to think freely. And that's impossible when you're wrung out and tired as a dog. Zombie cult. There's an unspoken rule in some companies. If you get sick, heal. If you die, resurrect. But stay on the job. It sounds like a joke, but it's reality. A sick day is a weakness. A day off is a betrayal. A vacation is almost a crime. And you're like a zombie with fever, with insomnia, with burnout, but still online, with your camera on, with the everything's great face, with the thank you colleague's voice. How can I break free? Start by giving yourself permission to do nothing. Go for a walk with no purpose. Lie in the bathtub without a podcast. Look at the ceiling without guilt. And you know what you'll feel? First, anxiety. And then, freedom. Because there's life inside of you. Real life. Not functional. Not for someone else. It's yours. You won't become happy by living on a schedule, but you'll start to come alive when you allow yourself to be. What's your personal record of working without a day off? And how did it make you feel?